And humorously, Blavatsky remarks the same thing. She says, we may make the doctrine exposed to the world many times, but it remains a secret doctrine. That is what she says. In the third volume, she was discussing about the concealed nature of the truth which we call the existence. She says, we may think of it many times. Once again, it is a mystery and a miracle that is concealed. Therefore, she says, it is bound to be a secret doctrine, even though we make it open many times. Again, we have to meditate it daily. That is what the ancient seers said. Do it daily in the morning. If you stop doing it for 3 days, in the 4th day it is once again a concealed doctrine and not an open doctrine. So there is a difference between all other books and the scriptures. Generally, we expect something to learn from a book, but in the scriptures there is nothing to learn. There is only something to do it and practice it again and again. It's not to understand that we read scriptures. If anyone tries to read the scriptures to understand, he is not satisfied and he may be disappointed after some time, because there is nothing much to understand. Understanding is only an inferior process, and we have to know it first. There is a superior and more important process which we say experience or do. For example, suppose I say, I want to eat, I am hungry. The word eat has some meaning to understand, but the more important thing is to do it, not to understand it. So everything that is really essential in the world is to do something and to get some change and not to understand. To understand is only a secondary and an inferior process which we will be convinced after some time. But generally, we are foolish to believe that understanding is the most important. Excuse me, but have this idea in your mind for some years, you will know what it is. The ancient composers of the scriptures, they know this secret. They want us to become something, not to understand only. You can understand, but you have to get a transformation. And now there are 6 keys and the 7th. Can anyone give me the names of the 6 keys? Anyone can give me, except one person, that is Kumar. Yes. Certainly, the English ones we want. Because the Sanskrit ones as good as not giving. I know the Sanskrit ones. I want to know the English one. Grammatical key, astrological key. Second one? I think these are the things. If I remember well. I too do not remember well. Approximately, I think these are the things. Kamsi kamsa. And in short, we try to once again understand them in only one class before we complete this class, so that we may enter into the lesson tomorrow and finish the whole of Purusha sooktam before we complete this session. Because if we leave some part to the weekend, the lesson will be weekend. Because the weekend is longer than the working session. what is the key called the meter? It is also called, in Sanskrit it is called chanda. You know that poems are composed in meters and songs are composed in meters. For example, in English there are called the syllabic divisions called iambus, trochee, etc. in the ancient meters. We have the iambic pentameter, often composed by Shakespeare. You like that? Like that, there is tetrameter, and you like that. The ancients composed in poems. A poem contains a meter. So we have the meters of the Veda also. For example, the Gayatri is composed of 24 syllables divided into 3 lines of 8 syllables each. It is strange that a poem should contain 4 lines, whereas the Gayatri contains 3 lines. You find many thousands of verses, mantrams given under the meter of Gayatri in the Rigveda. Every one, each of it, is written only in 3 lines, not 4. Because the Gayatri meter is called Gayatri when it has 3 lines of 8 syllables each. Om Tat Savitur Varenyam Vargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. When counted in Sanskrit, the meter, the syllable division is 8, 8, 8. This is called the Gayatri meter. You can also compose any poem in that syllabic division when it is called the Gayatri meter. Of course, the Gayatri mantra is different from the Gayatri meter. Mantra is the text that is composed in the meter, and similarly, you have meters composed in 32 syllables, 4 lines each. Can you give me an example? No. Gayatri is only, and the total is 24. If you add a 4th line also, if you compose it in 4 lines, it contains 32 syllables. If you count each of the mantram of the Purusha Sukta which you have learnt last year, I explained you how it was a meter of 32 syllables divided into 4 lines each. So it is called 1 meter, and this is called another meter. This is called Gayatri. This is called, I told you, of course you need not remember it, but I gave this word also last year. This is called the name of the meter 32. And you have also meters having 12 syllables, each line having 4 lines. 12 syllables a line. And you have also 3 syllables each having 4 lines. 4 syllables each having 3 lines. Like this, various meters are there. You have a very small meter of a line having 2 syllables, and the smallest of all, only 1 syllable. This is called single syllabled meter, Om. Now you can easily understand that it is not only the numbers and syllables that count, there is something else. Esoterically speaking, the meaning of this word is called single syllabled meter. I am. And if you understand objectivity and subjectivity, 2 things, then it is called the two-syllabled meter. Yes. It's not actually the sounds and the numbers, but it is the existence of one item, the existence of two items here like this. When we are thinking of the subjective and the objective existence, that is the observer and the observed. Subjectivity and objectivity, inner consciousness and the outer consciousness, in terms of space, then we are described as learning the two-syllabled meter. Just I am coming to. Yes. Similarly, we have three-syllabled meter. The Om is esoterically described as split into three syllables. A, O, M. That means we understand world not only twofold but also threefold. That is first person, second person and third person. In grammar, you know, the consciousness I am, the consciousness you are, and the consciousness it is. And also understanding the background as past, present and future. So we have a dimension which makes us understand things threefold. That is called the three-syllabled meter. And we have the four-syllabled meter, described by Pythagoras as the quadrilateral produced by another point to the triangle. That is how Pythagoras describes. He says, if you produce another point outside a triangle anywhere, you will produce a quadrilateral. That is what he says. That is a four-sided figure. But he wants to tell something more esoteric. That means, if you have the threefold understanding of first person, second person and third person, or past, present and future, etc., then if you try to understand it in terms of another person, if you try to examine a person in his threefold aspect, then you are becoming a fourth point, producing what is called objectivity or the four-sided figure. Everyone is a triangle to himself because he tries to understand himself, the other person and the third person, or the present, past and future. But if you want to examine the psychological mechanism of a person, that means you are forming a fourth point. Like this is what is called the science of meters. And the Vedic passages are expected to be explained according to the meter. For example, when we are asked to explain about Gayatri, if we give the meaning of each word, which I did it last year, I think, and also the total meaning of the whole passage. That means we should embrace the higher light which is stimulating our mind and senses, etc. There is the meaning. If I give it thoroughly for about 2 hours or 2 days or 2 months or 2 years, then it is only the fifth key and the other keys are remaining unexplained. You understand? You ask me to explain what the Gayatri Mantra contains. I go on explaining, giving the meanings, subtle meanings and little meanings, inner meanings, etc. And again, the total meaning and how to understand it, all angles I am giving you. But at the end of 1 year or 2 years or 3 years or 100 years, we will find that we are tilling only 1 acre of land, whereas there are 5 more acres. Only one field we are dealing with, there are 5 more fields. So, we are dealing only with one application. That is called the meaning key of meaning. Meaning is only one key. So, we are expected to apply the other keys also. For example, when we are explaining the Gayatri Mantram, we should explain how the year contains 24 lunations. That is 12 new moons, 12 full moons. The 24 nodal divisions of the year and how they produce the fauna and flora of this earth. How they produce the consciousness of the earth in 24 nodes. That is what is called the higher aspect of astrology. And how our consciousness is guided by the 24 nodal points. How to understand these things in terms of the solar-lunar astronomy, that is year, the conjunctions and the oppositions of the sun and moon. For example, in every new moon we have the conjunction of sun and moon, that is existing in the same degree. And after a few days we have the opposition of sun and moon, that is 180 degrees to each other when seen from this earth. So every month we have one conjunction of sun and moon as seen from the earth. So I am giving an example of the astrological key of the Gayatri Mantram, the 6th key. We have the earth, the moon and the sun. When they come to a point, we call it new moon. Again, when the three come to a point, earth on one side, sun on one side and the moon on the other side, apparently to the earth, we call it full moon. Then you are expected to apply these things, the earth as the symbol of your body, physical body, the moon to mind, and the sun to the I am in you. These three put together, it is forming a unit which you call yourself. And every month we have a peculiar modulation of all these things every moment, every day. So tomorrow we have a different mind which we have today. Yesterday we had a different mind. Though we think it is the same mind, today I may feel that my brother Rodolph is a very good man. After some time I may feel, no, he is an ordinary fellow. Which is true. Both are incorrect because it is the mind that decided, I didn't decide. I asked the fellow, my secretary, to decide, and he is a cheat. He decides in some way today and some other way tomorrow. So he cheated me. Yesterday he said that Rodolph was a very good man. And today he says, no, he is just an ordinary fellow. Am I to believe my secretary? No, I have to believe myself. And then ask my secretary to do the job what I wanted him to do. That is what we are expected to practice in the name of spiritualism. If we change the relationships, and after 2 or 3 years, I think Rodolph in different terms, and 10 years ago I thought of Rodolph in different terms, and then if I call it spiritualism and I am trying to know something, it's no good. So we have to understand how to bring them into focus, because every day they are changing, and every week they are in focus and again they are out of focus. Every new moon they are in a different focus, every full moon they are in a different focus. Like that we have one full moon, one new moon, and 14 moon phases in between. Do you know? If you go into the traditional Indian calendar which we follow, which is different from the calendar, official calendar, we have what are called the lunation, the full moon and the new moon, the half moon and the half moon. We have 4 quarters of the month. I think many of you know what the 4 quarters are. If you go to the traditional calendar of the ancient nations, here you will find these 4 quarters. And every month we have these 4 quarters. And every month we have our symbol, that is the body, the mind and the I am in a different position to each other. When it is full moon, they are 180 degrees to each other. If it is half moon, they are 90 degrees to each other. When it is new moon, there is no angle. They are in 0 angle. Like this, we have many relationships, every moment, every day changing. So, we are expected to have a mastery over these modulations of consciousness. Otherwise, we cease to exist as our own consciousness and we begin to tune and dance with the mind and its phases. Am I clear? It is for us to decide if we are to live like dogs to the mind, or if the mind has to live as our secretary. We have to decide. If we once for all decide that we have to live like a dog or a pig to the mind, it's good, we can do it. The mind will be dictating terms and we will be following it like a dog. That means we are the children of moods. We follow our own mood. Just shout upon Rodolphe for 5 minutes. Because my mind wanted to shout. Because I have grown crazy and hysterical, eating too many drugs and all that. And in the evening once again go to him, say, Rodolphe, we practice spiritualism. And we practice meditation. We practice transcendental meditation in the morning and esoteric meditation in the evening and some biogenetics in the afternoon. We practice yoga of the left nostril in the forenoon and yoga of the right nostril in the afternoon. Reading many books, trying to understand without practicing, or trying to practice just a little and try to understand these things. Leading our useless life to die only as a dog where we are born, without any progress. This is what happens when we allow our cheating fellow, the secretary, to work for us. That is the mind. So the first thing they advise us is to know the modulation, the relations between body, mind and myself. And know how many are there. There are 14 moon phases after full moon. There are 14 moon phases after new moon. So, full moon plus 14 moon phases, new moon and 14 moon phases. These are called the 30 moon phases of the month. Like this we have 12 sets of moon phases throughout the year. That is 12 months. Otherwise, Why should you calculate only 12 months? Why can't somebody calculate in his calendar 15 months? You can as well make the whole year into 15 equal parts and call it months. Or some fellow will have a metric month, that is 10 months an year, 10 weeks a month, 10 hours a day, 10 minutes an hour, like that. A metric way of doing nonsensical things. Why can't we have it like that? Why should we have only 12 months? There should be some reason there in nature. It's not that man or a woman divided it into 12. There is something there which decides. We are not to decide, nature decides. And when we follow nature, it's called impersonal or scripture. Or when we follow our own procedure, it's called something personal, which differs from person to person. So, the whole setup is given to us as 12 months. And this key of 12 months is given as 1 meter. And the whole thing is explained as 24 lunations. And the 24 is given as another meter called Gayatri. And the 52 weeks in the year is taken as another meter, and then it is explained how the year has 52 parts for us. And also 36. That is 10 days division in the year, 360, and plus 3.5 days separate. Like this, the whole astronomical aspect of the year is taken as the astrological aspect of the ancient science. What's the difference between understanding them astronomically and astrologically? If you ask me to understand what this is, I understand that this is a bigger object. I open the screws and say 1, 2, 3, smaller screw, bigger screw, and a barrel, a lesser barrel, and a wire. I separate these things and put them there and call them only the number of items, because I don't know their significance, I don't know how they work. That is what is called the fate of an astronomer to understand the planets and the sun. He knows only the globes, the magnitude of a globe, the weight, volume, the smell, the taste, and the interplanetary distances between two globes, etc. He is only a statistician who does not know significance of the tools and the nuts and bolts of a machine. That is what's called a pure astronomer, means a pure idiot. Let us try to be a bit impure to have something more useful. Suppose a person who knows the significance of it, who has learned something about it, he begins to open it and close it. He knows what it is. Instead of calling it a nut, a bolt, or something, a barrel, he knows what function it serves, what purpose it serves. That's the difference between a mechanic, real mechanic, and Krishnamacharya. And here also, if an astronomer says the sun, the moon, and the earth, there is no significance. He knows only just as Krishnamacharya knows about the mic. But if a true astrologer knows, he speaks about the sun, the moon, and the earth, he means, by sun means the I am in you, by moon he means the mind in you, by earth means the minerals in your body. And then when they begin to move, that is the earth going round the sun and the moon going round the earth, then he will be able to understand what is happening in our constitution every moment. That is what is called a real astrologer, in the sense in which the word esoteric astrology is given, not in the sense of the market astrologers or the soothsayers or fortune tellers. There is a sacred sign which is called the sixth key. So we are expected to explain the mantra, that is the passage of every mantra, also in the astrological tree. This is an example, just I gave an example. How the full moon acts upon us, how the new moon acts upon us, how the other moon phases, the first moon phase after full moon, the second, the third, the fourth, like that. If you take away the traditional calendar from a person like Kumar from India and ask him to sit down, he will be able to just feel like this and tell you, now today it is full moon or new moon or half moon or we are 2 days ahead of full moon. He will be able to tell you without a calendar because he knows how to feel the calendar inside. Because it is a tradition which we receive through ages and centuries. Any traditional student from India, even now, if you ask him, come and sit down here, explain what full moon and new moon is, he says, you can feel it. Easily he assures you that you can feel a full moon and a new moon. We may think that he is superstitious, but we have to wait until we understand what he means. So we have an astrological key to understand how this passage is. And then we have a ritualistic key. What is a ritual? You place this here, you place something here, you place this here, and I utter some words. I put some water here, some flowers here, some incense here, and then I say it is a ritual. It is true, but this detail is not the ritual. There is something else for which the detail is intended, and that is the ritual. For example, if one person sits in the east, another sits in the west, a third person sits in the south and keeps the northern seat vacant, and then they utter some passages just as we do it in the drama. They call it the co-Freemasonic ritual or Masonic ritual or something like that. Why the seat is empty in the north? Why can't you sit? You can sit down there. But why don't you sit down? There is a significance. Here is something working, here is something working, and here is something working, 3 centers. There is another seat where we are not working, where the master consciousness is expected to come and sit. So the 4th seat is empty. Like that, a symbolic representation through procedure and practice, through doing something, so that we may reach the real significance of a passage given. That is what is called transformation, not understanding. It's foolish to understand these things. We have to transform, get transformed. You do it like this, you will get the transformation. There is that science, that is called the science of ritual. For example, we are hungry. You cook, you eat. Now you are not hungry. That is called a ritual. Since we know it, we laugh at it. We know some ritual, but we laugh at it. Therefore, we don't understand that it is a ritual. And we do not know some rituals, therefore we do not believe them. That which we know, we do not understand it. We refuse to understand it. That which we do not know, we fail to understand it. We should try to understand what we know. You analyze the change. Try to understand the change you are getting when you are eating. What is happening? You are hungry. You cook. You eat. Now you are not hungry. Think of these things and try to understand what is happening inside. It is a change. Similarly, now you are in a state of mind. some questions and some answers, and no total realization. You do something prescribed in the scriptures, then you have a change. You are there as the grand solution of everything. You need no book. You stand there, you will be able to give reliable, practical answers and solutions to everyone and about anything. That change takes place in you. That is, you will take out from within yourself and you will do it. You cannot believe in the beginning that you can do it. For example, if you say that you place a stone in water, it loses the weight of its own volume. Then you can ask me, how do you know? I say, it is there in the physics textbook. Then you can question, how do the fellow physics author know it? You can say that Archimedes has given it. Then you have to ask, how could Archimedes give it? Where from? I learned it from the book. The textbook fellow has copied it from another textbook. Like that, 100 second-rate fellows printed the same thing from the textbook, changing the language a little bit. In better paper and better language, but the old thing copied from the previous author, made something better in its exterior. And then we come to the question, how could Archimedes copy it? A student or a foolish professor can answer that he has copied it from his textbook. But there was no textbook of Archimedes' principle before Archimedes was there. Where from he has taken it? That is called the second key. You do it, you will get it. Archimedes has done it, he got it. Pythagoras has done it, he got it. Avogadro has done it, he got it. Marconi has done it, he got the bell. Wright brothers, they have done it, they got the key to go up. Levitation, physical levitation. Like this, those who have done it by chance, blindly, they hit at it and they get us something. They don't know that they have done it. But there is a science which makes you do it. You do it. That's called the science of rituals, or the second thing. You have to explain every mantram, every passage of the scripture according to that key also. So it is called the key of doing something and getting a transformation. It's called the science of the detail. The detail, it contains the detail as to how to do it. Without the detail, we fail to do it. Even sometimes with the detail, without any veneration or devotion, we fail to do it. When we do it mechanically without devotion, we miserably fail. I can ask my friend, for example, Daniel, what music is. He may explain me something, and I try to follow the detail. No music, there is only panic. Because we should know the detail to produce the music, but music never exists in detail. That's the whole trouble. Music exists as the totality. The anatomy professor can explain you what a man is. The cranium, the eyes, the nose, nostrils, the number of bones, number of muscles, number of many layers and nerves, ganglia, etc. But do all of these things put together make a man? The detail never makes a man, but man makes the details and has these details as parts of himself. That's what's called synthesis as opposed to what's called analysis. So we should have two aspects in us, that is the power to synthesize and the power to analyze. Otherwise we are blind by one eye. We should have the two eyes. So here we have the key of the rituals. In Sanskrit it is called kalpa, I think. I fear I have given the same word or not. Last year. Do anyone assure me that I have given the same word? Kalpa. And it is applied and examples are given in the ancient textbooks. We have books which give us the exemplification and application also. For example, if you see the action that is taking place in the creation, you have so many seconds making 1 minute, so many minutes making 1 hour, so many hours making 1 day.